I know. I've got some explaining to do. My haircut and facial hair are out of regulation. And I know that looks bad, but like, we have a reenactment coming up. Our impression is we're going to be... So, your impression's finally beginning to shape into something that resembles the USGI, but we have a long way to go before we're finished. Well, you had your weapons, your aid kit, and your canteen strapped to your gear. You had other tools that would also aid you on the battlefield. A tool that every frontline GI would have been issued was an entrenching tool. Now, what type of entrenching tool you use could be dependent on what time frame you're portraying, but also what your role was within the platoon. To explain what I mean by that, we're going to be taking a dive into the history of the Army's development of the entrenching tools.
The earliest documentation of the Army issuing some form of standard entrenching tool to individual infantrymen was actually in the 1870s, with a trowel bayonet, but major developments wouldn't come until the early 1900s. Prior to World War I, the US military was working to make the doughboy more suitable for trench warfare. As a result, the M1910 entrenching tool series was created. This consisted of 3 different entrenching tools: the M1910 shovel, the M1910 pigmatic, and the M1910 hand axe. This system would last into World War II, only changing slightly with new covers and a fresh coat of OD paint to boot. Each tool would have its own strengths. The shovel was efficient at removing dirt and deepening your position. The pigmatic would help with breaking up rocks or tough dirt that your shovel can't get into. And the hatchet was used to help cut out roots, but could also be used to chop up wood to help with fortifying your position. These tools were issued at a ratio of 10 men, 7 shovels, 2 pigmatics, and 1 axe for every 10 GIs. Whom they were issued to isn't really disclosed, so we can conclude that anyone in your squad or platoon could be carrying any of these 3 tools. You will just have to be conscious of that issuance ratio discussed earlier. This of course ultimately makes the shovel the most common E-tool on the battlefield, but that wouldn't last forever. While there were 3 different options to choose from, there would be a significant change in 1943 with the introduction of the folding shovel. The M43 folding shovel would be a part of the US military's major overhaul of equipment and uniforms, taking heavy inspiration from the German Army's own folding shovel. The design is meant to eliminate the need for multiple tools to make entrenchments and streamline the issuance of such pieces. This is achieved by a threaded lug on the hinge, which allows for a closed shovel and hoe angle. The edge of the shovel was typically sharpened out of the factory to make cutting through roots and hard soil less of a chore. This design would see service into the Korean War and would be the basis for all future entrenching tools made by the US military. These entrenching tools started to appear in early 1944, and in larger numbers by the Normandy campaign. The first pattern of the covers had a fixed stitch hook on the back, and with these tools being made during the military's major transitional period, many covers used a heavy mixture of OD3 and OD7 shaded canvas. These first pattern covers would be the standard overseas until the latter half of 1944, when their second pattern cover would begin to make their way into the ranks. Developed in early 1944, these covers worked to be more versatile. Rather than a fixed hook, this cover's hooks were mounted via rivets applied directly to the cover. These hooks could be adjusted depending upon where your shovel was mounted to give the most comfortable experience while wearing it. Entrenching tools become an interesting subject as there are plenty of originals and reproductions on the market. While reproductions are certainly more affordable compared to the originals, they're usually not as durable. It's because of this that we would usually recommend seeking out and spending the extra money on an original piece over the reproduction. However, if you simply do not have the budget for it, there are many sites that offer reproduction tools. There is unfortunately one tool that you will have to buy original, that being the folding shovel. No companies are manufacturing reproductions of this tool, but folding shovels are still very common to come across and can in some cases be found for a good price. Many European countries made their own versions of the folding shovel during the Cold War. While significantly cheaper, they often have designs or features that the World War II GI variant does not possess, and as such are strongly discouraged from buying. In the US, the websites that carry reproduction and entrenching tools are at the front, What Price Glory and World War II Impressions. What Price Glory and World War II Impressions only carry reproductions of the shovels. At the front normally carries reproductions of shovels, axes, as well as a variety of covers. They even carry refurbished folding shovels. At the time of recording, they're not carrying the folding shovels, so be sure to keep an eye out for a restock. There are not many options for pickmatics in the US other than originals. If you still need an affordable option though, Rothko sells pickmatics that bear a close resemblance to the World War II ones. You would need to pick up a cover from World War II Impressions or an original, however. For our European friends, you will have better luck with Quartermaster Inspector and the Soldier of Fortune, who most notably is selling all of the reproduction tools currently. The use of things like eBay cannot be understated either for the importance of obtaining original pieces. With the ever-changing terrain that the Army had to fight over, they had to be able to adapt to their environment. The entrenching tools were essential to not only adapting, but to their very survival on the battlefield. We hope you enjoyed our video. We hope to get back into the weeds and make more content for you all. Don't be afraid to reach out on Instagram if you have any questions or advice you wanted answered.
And remember,
we're in the Army now. They drafted us and how. We're up with the sun to shoulder a gun. We're in the Army now. We're in the Army now. We're eating Army chow. Some menu goes far, it ain't caviar. We're in the Army now. They march us here and there. Our feet go everywhere. They're twisted and turned, they're blistered and